Hey babe, I am back today and I've got a really wonderful topic for us today. So, this is two different topics. At first, I thought it was two different topics, but I'm going to combine it. So, I had written this down as video ideas that I wanted to do as moving in silence and then feminine mystery. And I have done some topics on feminine mystery, but I think that combining these two topics will really take it to the next level. So, let me talk first about moving in silence, and then I'll talk a little bit about feminine mystery, how both of these concepts have changed my life. So, since I was very young, I've always wanted to help people and I've always wanted to share. And if I discovered a diet that worked, or a way to make money, or a way to date that was different and got results, I always had this need to tell people, especially people that were complaining about that exact thing. To me, it's almost inhumane to have the answer and keep it from people. But this is not how people see it. This is not how other people see it. Now, looking back at my life, I discovered this in my 20s, luckily, late 20s, maybe early 30s, that people did not see that as helpful. A lot of people in my own life saw that as either me bragging, or me rubbing things in their way, or me enforcing my ideas down their throat. And I cringe when I even think about it, because I can see their point now, that it's always best to keep your mouth shut and keep on moving. Another reason why moving in silence is so essential is because I like to tell my students that if you already have limiting beliefs about whatever it is that you're doing. We all have them, right? When you involve your mom and your sister and your best friend, you double up, triple up on the limiting beliefs, because now they're going to be like, well, no, this diet is not going to work, or this is not going to work because da 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 da. Now you've doubled up on your limiting belief, because now you've got yours and you've got theirs. So when I discovered that it was actually pissing people off when I was sharing these personal things with them, and if they were, even if they were complaining about the thing, if I was sharing, they did not receive this the best way. I completely just stopped, I shut myself up and I started staying in my own lane. And a funny thing happened. The people that were most triggered by me sharing my ideas started doing exactly the things that I was doing. Either that happened, or B, they started coming and saying, you know what were you saying about that diet? Or what were you saying about that thing? Because they saw my results. Because I wasn't leaking energy by telling people all these things, I started focusing on myself and giving that energy back to myself, taking back that life force energy. And my results, my own results, whether it was in dating or making money or losing weight or whatever, like tripled, I would say, because now I'm not using up that energy and trying to convince and co-sign other people to what I'm doing. And most of those people ended up doing the same thing anyways. Whether they're going to give credit or not doesn't matter, but they eventually started following along anyways. So you do not have to go and chase people. You do not have to go do that. Now, one way that I did channel that energy in a positive way that need to help people is I started my YouTube channel. In January 2022, it will be 12 years since I've had this YouTube channel, and it has been a lifesaver for me because I love sharing. And here it's like I'm just putting it out there, and whoever is guided towards it will click on a video, watch it. If they don't like it, they can click off. It's not like I'm showing up to someone's house, knocking on the door and telling them information that they don't want to receive, right? There's personal responsibility on who clicks. So you can use that in a positive way. You can journal on it, you can write a book on it, you can do a podcast, a YouTube channel, but stop trying to get your family members to co-sign. Most people don't really want to grow and evolve and do inner work on the level that you and I do anyways. I have learned that the hard way, that not everyone is like us, and that is okay, right? Some people just like being where they are, and that's fine. So channel that energy back into yourself, and you will notice that your results you'll quantum leap, because now you're not leaking energy. So that was the bit on moving in silence. The other part I wanted to talk to you about, it's kind of related. So I used to overshare with people. even when people weren't asking for details. And let me give you an example of this. My mom was, when I got married to Irfan, my mom was visiting. She only got to visit once before, you know, she passed away. She used to live in a different state. She came to visit me, and Irfan was traveling for work. So it was just me, her, and my son. And my sister-in-law called to check up on me. She didn't know my mom was visiting, but she knew that Irfan was out of town. And I answered the call, and before she could even say hello, I remember just telling her, da 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 da, my mom is here and I'm taking her out and I'm gonna do this and Irfan's blah 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 blah. When I hung up the phone, my mom was furious with me. Oh my God, I still remember she was red, like she was mad. She's like, what the hell was that? She's like, someone called you and in one breath, you told this person your entire life's history, what you're doing today, what you're gonna eat, who's visiting you, where your husband is. I'm like, Mom, it was just my sister-in-law. She's like, I don't care who it was. Keep your mouth shut. She's like, you say hello and you listen to what they're saying and you do not share personal information. And I was just like, okay. So this was such an important lesson, because after that, I started noticing something that changed my life. And I got remarried. And when I got remarried, when I married Irfan, he used to travel for a living when we got married. And in the beginning days, Arman was 4 years old and we would go with him many trips. He was able to take us. He had a hotel room already. Like we would, you know, hang out and do things during the day. He would working and then he'd take us out in the evening. But eventually Arman started school and I was pregnant with Ayan, so I couldn't travel. And I noticed that when my husband would call me from his trips, I would give him the entire, like, Arman did this and this happened and da 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And it was like he hadn't missed anything. He would know what the kids ate. Like he would know everything. And then when he would go, like every couple of months or every 6 months, he had to go visit his family. They were still living back home. His parents were elderly. This is when his dad was alive, but he was very, very sick. And he would go and take care of his parents. And I noticed that, you know, because of the time difference, he would call me when it was convenient for him, when it was like 10:30 a.m. for me. I would always answer the phone, even if I was sleeping, give him the whole rundown. And I noticed that he called me even less. He called me at more of the oddest hours. And then one day, it was like my mom's voice in my head. It all clicked for me. It was like someone was saying to me, if someone isn't in your presence, they don't get to experience you and your kids. Because what was happening for me is that I was growing resentful that he was calling me in the middle of the night and I was expected to answer. And I was giving him all this information about the kids. It was like he was away, but he was still getting to experience us. And something shifted in me this one day. So this is what happened after that. This was life-changing. I started turning my phone off when it was time for bed. So if I was going to bed at 11 and he was traveling, I would turn off my phone. When he would call during the day at more reasonable hours, I would answer and I would say, hi, how are you? And he would say, what did you guys do? We're just hanging out. Oh, well, did you guys go somewhere? Just hanging out. How was your day? And long story short, one day, he called me. He was in Pakistan. He called me at 2:30 a.m. I was sleeping. He called me 11 times. I didn't answer. I was sleeping. My phone was turned off. He called my sister. He called my brother. He called my father. He flipped out. And he called me in the morning. He was very concerned. And I said, I was sleeping. You called when it was 2:30 a.m. here. And he quit his job in the next couple of months after that. So what happened? He changed his job to something where he worked in the same state, in the same city. And he cited this as a reason. I don't want to miss out on you and the kids. It never had occurred to him to quit previous to that because he wasn't missing anything out. Every time he called me, every time he was traveling, he knew exactly where we were, what we were eating, when we were sleeping, what we were wearing, who we were seeing, right? If the light went out because there was a storm, he knew about it. If Ayan got sick, he knew about it. If Armand spilled something, he knew about it. When I stopped sharing and my attitude was, you get to be with us and experience us when you're here, but when you're away, who knows what's happening? Oh, sorry, you missed it. Okay? That was such a huge shift. To me, this is what feminine mystery means. I work with a lot of students and clients, and women will say, Mina, he's just in the room all day, or he won't even call me when he's traveling, or he doesn't even go to the game with us. I'm like, yes, because you take 20 pictures of your kids and put them on Facebook where he can see them, or you give him the entire 411, you text him everything. He doesn't have to be there. He's not missing anything. If he sees that you have a whole life with you, if it's just you, or with the kids, if you have kids, that the only way he can experience your presence, your joy, your beauty, your children's lives is to actually be there in physical form, then that is what he will be forced to do. Because you guys have talked about this before, conserve energy, right? When I was always available, waiting for his phone call, even at 2:30 in the morning, giving him all the rundown, he had no reason. In fact, a couple times I was really resentful because he was traveling for work and then going to see his parents, and then he had weddings coming up for his family members that I couldn't go to because I was pregnant. But he was like, I'll just go for a day and go attend it, and I'll be back, right? And I was starting to feel like, oh my god, my life has changed so much. I'm at home waiting all the time. This guy's life hasn't changed. He still gets to go do all the stuff, but I was the problem. He wasn't missing anything. The minute I stopped oversharing, the minute I started moving in silence, he didn't want to leave. He started saying things like, well, my wife can't make it, so I can't come, because he didn't want to miss out. I didn't have to have a talk with him. I didn't have to give him ultimatums. I just shifted my own behavior. I have another example of this. Several students, this is a few years ago, I had several students in a group coaching program that said that their mother was really overbearing, or their sister was overbearing, and they would share things and they would undermine what they were doing and blah blah blah. So I had my students keep a journal. I said, all I want you to log is who called who, and who made the phone call, what was shared, and then what was said. In all of the cases, my students were the ones calling their mothers or calling their sisters and volunteering the information, and then getting upset when their mom said, well, that's dumb. Why did you do that? Or why in the world would you date him? Or why would you tell him this? And my question was, babe, why are you calling your mother as a grown woman in her 30s or 40s, sharing this information and then getting triggered? What part of you loves it? What part of you can't survive until you get this hit of suffering? And that was such a huge shift for them. So cut it out. Cut it out. Most of the time it's us. We love something about that dynamic. It's familiar. Even if it's yucky, it's familiar. And so we keep doing it. Okay? If someone wants to experience you, they need to be in your presence. You are not going to go around telling everyone everything. Trust me, I have learned these lessons the hard way. If your husband isn't there for you, he doesn't get to find out what Johnny did at the game. Because if he wants to know what Johnny did at the game, next time he better make arrangements and be there for Johnny. Okay? He doesn't get a picture. He doesn't get a Facebook page. He doesn't get a FaceTime. Let him change his life so that he can be there. Okay? This is, to me, truly what moving in silence means. And this has been a life-changing lesson. Thank you, Mom. Mom was the one that pointed out this mistake, and I'm so glad that she did, because truly it was life-changing. The only way that someone gets to experience your presence, your glory, your beauty, your joy is if they make you a priority. Okay? So the way it ended up for us is that my husband changed his job and made sure, first he went from traveling all the time for work to working from home for like 2 years. And then when we moved to Houston, he had an actual job, but he made sure we bought a house that was within 20 minutes of his job, so he wasn't out driving. This guy went from traveling all the time to not even wanting to be 20 minutes on the street so that he didn't miss out on his kid's life. Okay? That's how you do it. You don't overshare. You let them miss the goodness, that is you and your kids, and then rearrange their life. You are worth it. Your kids are worth it. Your life is worth it. Okay? I love you. As always, all of the programs, inner work programs and intensives are linked in the description box. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.